But with that Cat Williams interview, it brought a lot of shrapnel towards Shannon Sharpe. Why? Because it was a controversial sit down. Why? Cat Williams came on there and he was basically calling out various comedians and entertainers that he has had issues with in the past. And Shannon Sharpe gave him the platform to do so. And with that, some people were critical of Shannon by saying, listen, bro, you kind of let this guy run amok on your show. He just said whatever the hell he wanted to say. And Shannon was like, listen, number one, my policy is when a guest comes on my show, I allow them to talk. And number two, I'm taking a lot of what they say. You know, I'm believing what they're saying. I'm not coming into these shows with the assumption that these guys are lying, right? So you had that. And after that interview, given the fact that he called out so many people, it brought up, you know, Steve Harvey, Kevin Hart, all of these guys, right? So then what happens? That interview blows up, goes beyond viral. Then Shannon and his team figured out something that worked, which is, listen, we've been doing these interviews for over a year now, but this particular format that we just did of getting a comedian that has issues with other comedians to come on the show and express their grievances works. So what did he do? He went out there and got another comedian in Monique who has issues with Steve Harvey, Kevin Hart, you name them. So Monique, D.L. Hughley, all of these people. So Monique comes on there and she starts going at different people. I think she went at Tyler Perry. She went at a lot of people, right? Shannon Sharpe let that go down. And then what happened after that was comedians started to go with Shannon Sharpe, Mike Epps and all of these people. And like, hold up. What's going on here? Like your platform, they started to call it Club Messy. Some people were saying it, right? And then what happened was Shannon Sharpe now started getting into this back and forth with Mike Epps, which got pretty heated, and then they had to kind of tone it down and squash the beef. And then Mace made some comments, and then Shannon Sharpe started going at Mace. And then just this morning, I opened up my IG, and usually I follow Shannon, so usually sometimes they do behind the scenes of some of his shows before it comes out. And in the clip, they showed the show being recorded, and you can see Shannon Sharpe saying, you know, why do y'all got to use my name to get clicks and views? And why do y'all have to use my name to not to get clicks and views, to make your show funny? He was responding to some of the comedians. Why you got to use my name? And when I saw that, it made me think to myself, because another person that went at him less than 24 hours ago was D.L. Hughley, who recently said he's not going to go on Shannon Sharpe's show, and Eddie Griffin, who's another comedian that went at Shannon Sharpe. And as I was thinking about all of that, and I saw Shannon's reaction this morning, you know, it made me begin to realize that there's something in this. There's a major mistake that Shannon, I believe, is making that no one is really focusing on. I think a lot of us are more focused on the back and forth, you know, the drama and everything. And it sells, right? It sells and is going to generate a lot of clicks, a lot of views. But I think that what we need to focus on, and by the way, I think it's important that I say this, for the past year and a half, I've been saying that I believe that Shannon Sharpe is going to be the biggest thing in sports media. I've been saying that for 2 years, year and a half. You can go back and look at the videos. I don't need to lie about a damn thing. That's number one. Number two, I said I think Shannon Sharpe is charismatic, funny, all of those things. The only thing I disagree with him from now until the end of time is his crazy LeBron James takes. But I said he's going to be bigger than ever before, and I said that he's going to make more money in this second part of his career than he ever did in the first half. That's what I said. And this thing is beginning to come to fruition. I'm not taking credit for his success. What I'm saying is that I knew this was coming. However, I think the mistake Shannon is making is this, and it's easy to say the mistake because I'm not in his position, but we as people can learn from the mistakes of others and from ourselves, right? We can learn from the mistakes that we make, but we can also learn from other people's mistakes if you're smart. Looking at Shannon Sharpe's situation, I think the mistake that Shannon Sharpe is making is that he's losing sight of the content. He's losing sight of the business. Shannon is now gone from having the biggest interview ever on YouTube to now being synonymous with beefs and beefing with comedians and all of that stuff. That's where this thing is headed to. And what I think is doing is a few things. Number one is diluting his product, right? It's diluting his product. And number two, it is pigeonholing him. Because then what's going to happen is if this continues, Shannon Sharpe is going to be known as the dude that's beefing with other comedians and other entertainers who have what is it? Who are diametrically opposed to some of his views and some of the actions that he takes on his show. And the problem with that is you ain't going to be able to please everyone, number one. Number two, with more success comes more drama and varying opinions. Not everyone is going to love what you're doing. But I do think that some of the comedians that have been saying, listen, you have figured out a formula in which you get one angry comedian, you bring up, and then you put him or her on your show, and then you get that person to go with the other person, and it creates friction. And some of these comedians are beginning to call him out because these are really only comedians. And that's number one. I think number two, Shannon is becoming a little bit too defensive. Shannon is ready to fight with everybody. And I don't believe that this helps him. I don't believe that this serves him. I've seen situations where various people in media have beefed with each other and it never really ends well. It never, ever, ever ends. Nothing positive. What usually happens is you create a hot moment and everybody's tuning in to hear what's happening. But then what happens? Like with everything, people move on. They move on. They move on. Number one. Number two, during those moments of anger, most likely what's going to happen is you're going to say something that you're ultimately going to regret, or say something that's going to get you in trouble. Right? I've had a situation where I put myself in a situation where I lost my temper and all of that because I was baited into something. So I'm not saying this from a sanctimonious, self-righteous position, but I think that Shannon needs to be careful. I think Shannon should just try his best to avoid all of these people. But also understand that, listen, this is an observation that your audience has made. People are making that. Listen, they think that your show is now becoming about beef, stirring up drama between comedians.